Thank you, Quinella. Hi, everyone. My name is Arlicia, and I'm a mortgage broker who currently resides in the state of Texas. I'm from Florida. I moved to Texas about 2 years ago, and so I love it here. I'm licensed to do loans, depending on the type of loan. If it's a primary home, I'm licensed in the state of Florida, New Jersey, Texas, Colorado, and if it's an investment property, I can almost do a loan in every state in the United States. So we're going to talk about some different funding options and maybe hopefully give you guys a different perspective on how you can get your foot into investing. I actually really enjoy working with investors. Investors have not slowed down, just so you guys know, as I get ready to pull up my screen, they haven't slowed down throughout this market, even with higher interest rates. They understand the importance of owning real estate and investing in real estate. And so they're out here buying. And, we are definitely coming up with creative ways to make sure they can get financing that they need in order to purchase. So, oh, look at that. So I got the screen up as well. I can see myself. This is so cool. Okay. So Zoom, I'm actually using like a brand new laptop. So maybe that's why I'm using an Apple laptop. So maybe that's why it's showing this way. All right, guys. So, unlocking, and people always say, here's a little thing that it says unlocking secrets, and people use like, how you can do hacks or honestly, there's no secret. There are creative ways of finance. There may be a way that you're not aware of that you can use to finance projects. But when people use secrets, I almost feel like they're trying to make it as if it's not available to the masses when it really is. And there are opportunities to finance multiple type of projects, and I'll give some different testimonies with different clients who finance different projects, just so you're aware. And before we start, I'll also add that if it is a real property, meaning land, commercial, residential, gas stations, daycare, it doesn't matter. If it's a real property, they use that term in real estate, it can be financed. Okay. So investing in real estate is a way to build wealth. And don't forget, when we talk about investing in real estate, if you are starting out, do not count it out where you buy a primary home that you can then turn into an investment property. Okay. Everybody doesn't start out with purchasing an investment property straight out as an investor. You may need to purchase a primary home, live there for a year, and then turn that into an investment property just to put yourself into thinking outside the box. People do that all the time where they are buying homes year after year and building wealth that way. So, my first slide just says investing in real estate can be a powerful way to build wealth and secure your financial future. It is in this presentation, we're going to explore different type of real estate investments. We're going to understand, and I'll ask some questions if anybody has any questions that, any scenarios they thought about or ideas they may want to do. And we can talk about how you can finance those projects and what type of lending options are available to you to make you a successful investor. I think, I don't know what president said it, but real estate is, a surefire way to build wealth. Now, hold on, let's see. Let's see how we move to the next slide. Uh-oh, guys. All right. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, bear with me. Slide 2. How do we get there? There we go. All right. So as I mentioned, residential investments, multifamilies like 1 to 4 units, 4 to 8, 5 to 8 units, apartment complexes, we call those multifamily investment properties, and then commercial properties. Commercial properties would be anything that is not residential. So office spaces, gas stations, anything that's considered commercial property or somewhere that's someplace that someone is not living in, again, can be financed. So when you're talking about investing in real estate, one of the things that you want to think about, okay, when you are venturing into this, whether you're new or if you've been an investor, is you want to define your goals with real estate, right? Define your investment goals. Is this something that is a short-term investment property? Okay, you hear people talk about fix and flip. All right. Fix and flip strategies provide quick returns, but they require skills, right? Significant time commitment, and a timeline. When people are talking about fix and flip projects, those projects have a certain timeline that needs to be in place in order for them to maximize their returns. These investments are ideal for investors who are looking for an immediate cash flow. For instance, I got a client right now. I think we are on our 7th project together. Okay. I met him from a real estate agent. We funded a office space in Atlanta, Georgia for our first transaction. It was a shell space. And so when it comes to commercial loans, one of the things that can be very difficult is funding empty spaces that are not owner occupied. Lenders consider that high risk. We funded this loan through a hard money lender. Okay. So just so you know, as a mortgage broker, some of my products are through a conventional, traditional lender, and some of them are with hard money loans. So we funded his project with a hard money loan. I think he purchased that property right about $200,000. He called me last week. We currently have three loans in going in. He's going to cash out that property. It was worth about $200,000 2 years ago. It's currently worth almost $400,000. He's going to cash out that property. We are working on another project for him in the state of Utah. He's buying, I don't know what's going on up there, but he's got like 3 different properties he's purchasing there, and he's fixing and flipping those properties. Those fix and flip loans are a little bit different. So he put 10% down to purchase the property. That's a fix and flip. And the lender gave him 100% of the funds that he's going to need to rehab that property. We did one last year together, and he's currently at the end of that fix and flip. So we're going to refinance and cash it out because he actually wants to keep the property instead of selling it. All right. And he's going to net from the fix and flip, he's going to net about $250,000. From his commercial loan that he had cashing out, he's going to take out about $200,000. This is all in the span of like 24 months. He's gonna have an additional $500,000 in his pocket from investing in these properties. And I'll tell you, it's not like he has a ton of money. He had money to buy that first property. He pulled some money out of his retirement to buy the second property, right? And so now he's going to have additional funds to do more projects. And I'm just mentioning, I like to mention like people's stories just so that you can know that, hey, this is something I can do. Balancing out your strategies. Many successful real estate investors utilize a mix of short-term and long-term goals. Now, you may say, oh, Arlicia, I don't want to get into that fix and flip stuff. I mean, he gutted this house, okay, did the basement, added a whole new bedroom and bathroom to this property, and rented it out, and it's rented out currently to Section 8. Okay. So, you may say, I don't want to do the short-term investments. I'd rather do the long-term strategies. But whatever you do, make sure you're diversified with your portfolio. It helps to mitigate your risk and maximize your returns. Long-term investments, again, it's kind of like what you purchase in that primary hold. That's when you buy and hold your investments. It's where you purchase property and hold it for an extended period of time in order to build more stable wealth. These investments are suitable for investors who, are looking for passive income, right? Maybe you bought that primary home, now it's rented out, and you're looking to move into your next property, and you're making several $100s a month from this primary home that you lived in before you purchased a new one. And that's passive income. It's paying off the home you left and helping you pay the new mortgage that you have on a new home. Okay. So that's a long-term investment, which is a great strategy to have as well, right? because eventually the people who are renting out your home will pay that mortgage off. And this is something that you can take with you to retirement. And you can do it multiple times, meaning purchasing multiple different properties and keep renting them out like a cycle. Now, when you talk about, the lending portion of these creative financing opportunities, there are different loans out there. When it comes to the short-term property projects, there's different loans that offer interest only, which I don't necessarily agree with as the best product to go with unless you are very strategic, maybe you're a little bit more experienced, because when they're interest only, you're not paying off the mortgage, right? The only thing you're doing is paying the interest on that loan, but the interest payment on that loan may be a little bit lower than what your mortgage payment is, and this may be a strategic move for you that would allow you to have a higher cash flow return than if you were to include your principal and interest. So a short-term interest-only loan, they offer a higher loan-to-value ratio. Typically, there's no prepayment penalties on them because the lender's happy that you're just paying interest. And it's a flexible option for investors who are looking to acquire and renovate properties very, very fast. Okay. Then, there's some other products that we call our flex term loans. These are loans that customize your long term projects, right? Those are the projects that you may have a renter in that's going to stay there for a while. And these loan products are typically at a fixed rate. Some of them allow for interest only as well. Some loan products out there allow you to have interest only up front, principal on the end. Again, these type of creative financing products will allow you to maximize your cash flow per month, and are ideal for an investor who has a little bit more experience, but is a great loan product that's available. When we talk about these different loan options, there's different terms. Interest only are very short term, typically 1 to 2 years. Okay. You got your flexible long-term loan products, which are 30-year mortgages, right? Normally there are no prepay penalties on any of these products unless it's specifically stated. So you can pay them off, you can refinance. If your strategy changes, you can move up and move out of that loan product. And then there are some loans, we call them like rehab loans. Okay. Those are, again, they give you anywhere from like 6 to 18 months to rehab a property. And those are loans that will allow you to finance anything that needs to be fixed on that property. So if you're going in there to upgrade it, if you're going in to, add additional bedrooms, bathrooms, anything that is rehabbing the property, these are what we call ARV loans, after repair value loans. And these loans are typically financed at 100% of the rehab budget when you're purchasing or refinancing a property, which is good. So, rehab loans, you purchase that home, you may have to put 10% down. You got $100,000 worth of work that needs to be financed in that project. They're going to cover your budget 100% of that. And I say that kind of loosely. So it's 100% of the budget based on your after repair value. So like you can't go in there and say, I need $100,000 in finance in Arlicia, but the property value doesn't hold you adding in this $100,000 worth of work, if that makes sense. So if the property is worth $100,000 as is, and then when you do the rehab work, it's worth $150,000. You can't get $100,000 in rehab. You would only get $50,000, or really more so like $40,000 of rehab, right? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. And let's see, I'm just gonna go past that. I talked about that already a little bit. So different loan products, fixed rates, interest only, and then customizable terms. Sometimes we have to not necessarily make up a product, but there are some loan products where we get into very creative financing where we'll find a lender who will say, I'll do this project. I'll lend on this project, even though there isn't necessarily a loan for it. There isn't, they haven't done this loan before. For instance, I had a client in Colorado who owned 256 acres of land, valued at $5 million. And in his land, he had a bunker, a bunker from the government, okay, like a safe place for, if there's any kind of like, I don't know what you want to call it, nuclear bombs or whatever. He had a bunker on his land. So, and the bunker had to stay there. Like the government, you couldn't touch it. He has like paperwork that says these so many acres of land cannot be touched no matter what you do to this parcel of land. That was like the first time this happened. So we found a lender who was willing to take on financing that property because technically, I mean, if you got a property that got a bunker on it, the government can come in at any time and say, I want my land back, sir. Give me this property back. And you can't do anything about it. So that's where we really get into like saying, that's where we get into the creative financing part of it, where, if you have a project and you're like, I don't know if somebody's going to even give me a loan for this, those are things you couldn't go to a traditional bank and get, because they're going to say like Bank of America or, Wells Fargo, somebody like that is going to say, oh no, that's too high risk of a loan for us to do. But there are lenders out there who will allow you to do those customizable terms to finance your properties. General eligibility for financing any loan is you got to have decent credit. You don't necessarily have to have great credit. Some people will lend to you when your credit's not great, but obviously when you get those loans, they're not going to be the best of terms. Okay. So our loan products are designed to accommodate a wide range of borrowers with flexible credit requirements, income sources. Some loans don't even require income at all. The only thing we care about is if you have your down payment. Okay. I have lenders who don't even care to look at where your money comes from. You can deposit, $500,000 in your bank today, and the lender will let you use it. Okay. Every lender isn't the same, right? But there are some who care nothing about sourcing your funds. They don't care if you make money. They don't care if you got 500 homes in your name or one. They just want you to put the down payment down and they'll finance your project. Those loans come with a little bit higher credit, a little bit higher interest rates because, they're more riskier than, let's say, someone who is looking at your income and at your debt and determining what you qualify for. But those loans are loans that are really good for people who have cash. They want to invest, but maybe they won't qualify for traditional financing. And with those loan products, I tell people, hey, if we get into a loan like this, what we'll do is we'll refinance. You don't have to stay there forever. That was like that guy I told you at the beginning who purchased that office space. We got him in that hard money loan. 2 years later, we're refinancing and putting him in a traditional 30-year mortgage because it doesn't make sense for him to stay in that loan, but he needed to be able to buy that property. If he didn't buy that property at $200,000 when they first built it, and now it's worth $400,000 2 years later, if he was to complain, and honestly, he didn't like the rate when I gave it to him. I'm like, hey, this is our only option. We didn't even have a certificate of occupancy on the project. It took him 1.5 years to get the certificate of occupancy. So the building was vacant. It was a shell. It wasn't owner occupied. It wasn't even authorized to have it, for somebody to move into the place because it didn't have a CO yet. They had built this place and the city hadn't approved it. So just imagine if he would have said, you know what, Arlicia, I don't like the terms on this. Forget it. I mean, you would have literally walked away from $200,000. So sometimes I say it to say too is when you're looking at these products and you're getting financing that's creative because you're not, and I say this very nicely, the ideal client. Sometimes you have to take those terms that aren't the best, but you have a short-term goal or a long-term goal to get out of that that loan. You have a plan to say, I'm not going to stay in this product forever. I'm going to find me a product that works for me. Um, and that's where I come into play. I mean, I literally help consult my investors on, okay, let's do it this way. And then this is our game plan to get out of this product. You know, um, Sometimes people ask me questions. I'm like, well, you might need an extra financial advisor that I don't know. But when it comes to lending and loans, how to structure, how to be able to get the best product and flip that thing around, I am your girl. um, so this is just talking about, the process. Typically, we do a little application, make sure your credit is where it is. You'll submit some documents. Most of the times, I'm just looking at your credit score. Even if a loan is in a business name, lenders want a personal guarantor, or they at least want someone whose credit score needs to meet. Sometimes we don't need, a lot of times these loans don't go on your personal credit. They're they're commercial loan, they're light commercial loans, even though they're residential. They don't show up on your credit report, which is good for your debt to income ratio, but they do require a guarantor on the loan just in case the business defaults. Who are we going to come to, right? You dissolve the business, they want to get their money back, okay? So some people, but they don't show up on your credit report, which is what a lot of people don't want to happen, because they want to keep their personal credit for, purchasing their primary home, right? This was just a story about Sarah. She wanted to build her real estate. She had some challenges securing her financing, but she knew that access to the right loan products would be crucial to her success. She reached out to our team for guidance. We evaluated her, again, just somebody else. We evaluated her financial situation and investment goals. We recommended a tailored loan that provided a solution for her to purchase her first investment property as a single family home in a suburban neighborhood. She secured her financing, and has continued. And here's another thing too, especially with this scenario as well. You can use that primary home, stay in that primary home, use the equity you're building in that home to buy other properties, right? So I have some clients they love their house, they don't want to leave. They're pulling out equity out their home, using that equity to purchase additional real estate. If you are wanting to get into real estate investing, there's literally so many avenues of opportunities to do so. And you may say, I don't have any money, Arlicia. We have to, when I say you have to think out the box, you have to think out the box. Can you syndicate funds? Is there friends that you can come together and say, hey, you get $5,000, you get $5,000, you get, all right, let's go buy this property together, right? We need $15,000 to purchase this property together. Can we do that? And sometimes you have to look outside of your immediate area. The client who I mentioned who purchased a property in Georgia, he lives in New York and is buying real estate in, I said Utah, but it's actually Connecticut. He's buying property in Connecticut and he lives in New York. He bought that investment property in Georgia. He's buying property in Connecticut. I just did a loan for a client in Georgia who purchased a gas station, not a gas station, a mechanic shop. He purchased a mechanic shop for $275,000. That property appraised for $525,000. Somebody already gave him an offer on that property, because where the property is, there's a plot of land that the developer wants to build real estate on. He's probably going to sell it for about $6,000 or $7,000. I mean, he's going to make a $450,000 profit in 6 to 7 months once he goes through his due diligence with his developer. When I say people are out here making money, they are out here making money. And I have people who are making money who don't have a lot of money. There's some people who got a lot of money, okay? And some people don't have a lot of money, but they're taking that little bitty baby step and just getting their foot in the door to own real estate, right? If you only have 2 hands and 2 feet, right? You can only do what you can do with your hands and feet, right? So with real estate, it just allows you to do things a lot faster. And I'm all about that. I'm all about how can we work hard and not smart? How can we work smart and not hard, right? How can we build wealth a lot faster? And real estate is an easy way to do it because it's just sitting there, you know. If you buy real estate, you can have a property manager. If you say I don't want to manage my property, you can have a property manager. There can be very little to low maintenance of your involvement in however you decide to structure your investment portfolio. And that's where I kind of talked about at the beginning. You want to figure out what route you want to take. Is this a long-term goal, short-term goal? You know, how involved do you want to be? How much money do you want to make? And what way can we get there? You kind of want to look at it like this. You start at the end and we'll work our way back. There's a goal you want, and we'll figure out a solution to get to that goal. And I've been talking for almost 30 minutes. Any questions?
If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. Doesn't look like there's any questions. You can move forward.
Okay. So again, when we're looking at unlocking the power of, when we're looking at, you know, how are we going to do this? Insights and informed investments we want to look at, and this is really where your real estate agent is going to come into play, looking at market trends, you know, understanding the trend in population growth, job market dynamics, economic indicators in a certain area. If it's property specific data, you want to drill down to the property level, you know, what are properties selling for in that market, and really get into the data, which your real estate agent or whoever is representing you in that transaction is really going to be the point of contact for that. They're going to be the person to help you gather that data, kind of make sure it's a really good investment. They'll be able to pull up some things you may not be able to find online. And so I always tell people it's really good to have someone to represent you in a transaction. I'm only the money girl. You know, and so I don't know how to look at, you know, market trends like a realtor does, or, you know, comparable market analysis. Those are things that your real estate agent will get into. And so it's really good to have a real estate agent represent you in a transaction. I've had horror stories where people try to do things without one. So please don't be that person, you know. And obviously when you are purchasing real estate, again, there are, you know, multiple ways that you could benefit from it. Tax advantages. There are people who, yeah, I've heard there are people who own real estate in multiple properties who don't even pay taxes. And you as a, you know, most people as a regular everyday consumer, they owe Uncle Sam. But when you are buying properties, there's things like depreciation. Okay. I mean, that you can depreciate a property over 5 years. Okay. So let's say if you're buying real estate, you can literally never pay taxes. You know, I like to call them Trump taxes, since we know, and that's nothing political, but we know he didn't pay no taxes and had millions in real estate. So you got to know how to get by on doing these things. There's interest deductions, capital gains deferral, which is when you sell an investment property, you may be able to defer the capital gains through a strategy like a 1031 exchange. You know, so you may have made, you know, for my clients who's making $200,000-300,000 on profit, they don't put that money in 1031 exchange, so they don't pay property taxes on it. Business deductions, obviously, when you're buying real estate, you know, it's always good to set up an LLC, so that you can limit your liability, and that also allows you to take those deductions, so that you don't owe as much as you would in taxes. And obviously, this is where having a really good CPA or an accountant or a tax person that represents you comes into play. Diversification and growth, building a resilient real estate portfolio. So make sure you diversify your real estate portfolio. That's going to be key. Again, I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier in mitigating your risk, short-term goals, long-term goals, single-family homes, commercial properties, depend on how deep you want to get into this, and be very strategic in your scaling. Okay. One step at a time, right? You may have bought your first property. You don't want to go and buy 10 more the next day, right? You want to get your foot out there, understand the process, understand what it means to be an investor, and scale accordingly to what you feel comfortable doing. So your real estate journey, it can start today. It can start tomorrow, right? I have a team that assists me in helping my clients. And so whether you are a seasoned investor or just starting a journey, me and my team are here to help provide you with guidance and resources tailored to your financing solutions, options, and help you succeed. And that ends my presentation.